Hello guys, today I'm going to create a sky replacement tutorial. I'm going to make a sky replacement tutorial. Now, so go to make a new comp, so let's just imagine that this doesn't, right. Go into this and click on this button here, now you got a new composition. Now, we're on this comp here. There are a couple ways of keying out the sky, now I'm going to show you three. First I'm going to show you the Luma key. Control D, and then go over to the effects and presets. And search up Luma key. But what I'm going to do is, instead of using this Luma key, I'm going to use the FX console instead, as it's much more efficient. Then I'm going to go to key out brighter. But before we do this, I'm going to go press the solo there so I can see what's going on. Play at the threshold so I can get a nice, right looking key. Full resolution so get a better idea what's going on. You can play with the edging, thinning, which I'm going to leave. Or we can play with the feathering a little bit. Vary to 0.2, which doesn't look too bad. Play with the tolerance. But I'm going to search up Key Cleaner, which is a free plugin that comes with After Effects. Press reduce chatter. Play a little bit of these settings, play some alpha contrast and stuff like this. And it should look pretty good. Oops, wrong color. Now I'm going to add our sky layer. Sky image here I got here. Get off the solar layer. And now we have the sky keyed out. And it looks pretty good. Key cleaner gives us good, but sometimes you might use another technique. For example, what if you didn't want to use the Luma key because you didn't want to key out bright and had a specific color? Well then, let's go back and let's get rid of two of these. I'm gonna search up color key. And now I can just click with the eyedropper, do the solo layer once again, layer the color tolerance, and get a pretty good key. Maybe lower the feathering just a little bit. But you don't want to do too much because you don't want it to sort of be engulfed by this sort of keying effect. And I'm going to use the key cleaner, which pretty much does a great job of cleaning up most of the keys. Play the reduce chatter. Play with the alpha contrast. And you got a pretty good map. Unsolo it. Get the sky layer, put it under the key. You can just do a color key here, rename it to whatever you want. Which looks pretty good. But before we do this, there's another technique I can show you, which is much, a little bit more work than those two, but can bring you a long way. So I'm going to duplicate this layer 3 times. I'm going to put the colorama effect. I'm going to effect, color correction, colorama right over here. But I'm going to use this instead. Output cycle, not input. You're going to go to the output cycle. Go to preset palette. Scroll down to the ramp gray. I'm going to go around this like 90-degree angle. I'm going to get a deepest black I can. And what I can do is use this little cogwheel, like this little thing, and I can start like, pushing it up and down. And basically this is making a matte. So you can make it much more if you want it more sharp, and you can have it more blurred like this. Really up to you. Now I'm going to go on this track matte here. I'm going to pick whip it to, then I'm going to put on the Luma part of it. Then I'm going to go to the sky and do the same thing here. But like before, we still have to clean up some stuff. So what I'm going to do is put this on top. Do this, and then I'm going to do Control-Shift-C for a pre-compose. We'll attribute a new composition. Make a matte. Then I'm going to go do the same track matte and do this, and it already has the option for me ready to do Luma Key. Then I'm going to go search up the matte choker. Now I can start playing with the geometric softness to get this nice looking crisp look. So I might put it around 1.9 or 1.8. And I can use this choke and I can just lower it down so it cleans up most of these edges. And it's done a pretty good job of it. Just get rid of all the white. And now you got a pretty good matte. Oops. Now, what I'm going to do is now do some motion tracking. Press new, null layer. Then I'm going to go to animation. Oops. Go to animation. First, I need to select the layer first. Animation, track motion. Then I'm going to go to point of contrast, which is the part that stands out the most. Now I can make this a little bit bigger. Then I'm going to do rotation. This will calculate the rotation of the clip. Make it slightly bigger, press analyze. We should get a decent track. And we've got a relatively good track. Now go to edit target on this bottom part, select your null layer, press apply, don't mess around with that X and Y dimensions. And now you have it, the null is now parented to it, so we can see the null here. Does a pretty good job. Now I'm going to go get the skylit image, I'm going to parent this, and now we've got a decent looking sky. Before we're going to do some color correction to the sky, I'm going to lower the opacity, which makes it look way better when I do this. Then I'm going to go to and search up curves. I could start playing with the RGB to get a much more bright image, or desaturate a little bit by going down here. Then I'm going to go to the blue and add a little bit more blue. And maybe play with the red channels. And put it down more. Play a little bit like this. And we want to sort of color grade and color correct it to make it less standing out of the image. And now we've got a pretty good looking sky. Now this is our sky. So you're nearly done here, but what we're going to do is do Control-Alt-Y, add an adjustment layer, rename this just for organization purposes, color grade. Now I'm going to go to the curves, and I'm going to use some curves. So I might brighten it up a little bit, but I don't want to crush it too much because then it can look a bit too crushing and look a bit less unnatural. But we want to just make it a lot slightly bright with the RGB colors. Might play around the blues and add more blue into the scene because there's a massive orange cast and we want to sort of match it up. Play a little bit of the reds to sort of give more of a green look, and maybe pull down the green so I can get more of a blue, more so of the blue look. So now we have before and after, and this can look much better. I can add a hue and saturation effect, and I can play with the master values over here and give it a little more saturation, but not too much so it doesn't overkill. This can be quite useful when you have a very desaturated image like over here. Finally, I'm going to add the CC vignette effect. Play with the angle of view, play with the amount. Then that basically gives more depth to the image. You can add a Lumetri color, which basically gives most of these options. But if you're used to this as well, then this can absolutely work. It's just more of an organized version of doing it, and also they have Lumetri color on Premiere as well. But if you like your color grading on After Effects, then it's not too much of a biggie. We can now click the After item and see a massive difference. We can still go back to the image and see if we want to change a little bit of things. Maybe add a little bit more green. Much better. Now we don't have an overcasting of blue, and we have much more of a balanced image, which makes things look way better. And now that is somewhat our final result. oops, this one's I made quite a number, so I made, this is one of my first ones. I got a pretty similar result here. This is my other one. You can go onto your sky image and you can just play around with the values. Playing it with this, it doesn't look as good and stands out too much. You want to blend it in with your old sky so it gives it much more depth. And also, you won't have a really strong looking blue. But that's the way you can do it. That's a pretty good way as well. If you want, you don't even need to add just the sky. You can just add a new solid. Maybe like a little bit of like this royal blue look. Put a rectangular mask on it. Oops. Feather it. Turn down. We could use a solid as one as well. You could just add that, which is alright. Just move it up a bit higher. And let's put a little bit more scale on it. And after all, we can just use that instead of the standard sky look. But this is really all up to you. So those are a couple ways of adding a sky replacement. And looks pretty good. So yeah, that's how you make a sky replacement. There's a lot of techniques I've shown, which is the Luma key effect. You can also use the Colorama one that can help advantage, and also the color key one as well. You can find images like this on Google, and we can see like very high resolution image, and with a little bit of color grading, a little bit of work, you can really make this look very, very realistic. You could even change it around or switch it around if you want a new kind of effect, because if you have such a large resolution image, it will also help if you have bigger resolution videos as well. And it can give you much more options. And it won't look blurry when it's scaled as well. So I'm messing around here. My first example, and this is my second one. So I've got some little one here. Around here. There you go. You're done. So, hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. I'll see you guys later. Bye.